Alright, we're going to do a little torture test on this unit. This is an Anbull rebar cutter, and I've got 2 sticks of 4-foot long, 1/2-inch rebar. I'm going to cut them into the smallest pieces as I can, as fast as I can. We've got a multimeter set up to measure temperature of the hydraulic unit. Present time we have 53 degrees Fahrenheit and 12 degrees Celsius. I'm going to leave it on Fahrenheit because I understand Fahrenheit. We have a chicken in the background just to annoy me. And let's go. Don't worry, we're not going to waste it because at the end we can just weld it all back together and it's a piece of rebar again. So, ready? Here we go. Wait a minute. Before we do that, as Dave says, let's take it apart. Now, I'm not going to take this thing completely apart because I don't want to drain all the oil out of it. Let's take a look at the motor and the armature and the windings and see if it lives up to the wank marketing that's on the website. The website says that it has pure copper windings instead of aluminum core. That is a big deal for heat dissipation in the motor, which may make it last longer. We'll also talk about the cutters a little bit and what they're made out of. Now, this guy's specifically made to cut rebar, but as you're going to see, you can cut other things with it. Mostly bar. It's not going to be good for tubing or even probably cable because of the way that it's a shear and not a cutter. The general setup of this thing is basically kind of like a large grinder, or a saber saw. Actually, you got a grinder handle that you can put on. Not strictly necessary. I actually found it more useful just to hold the piece that I'm cutting. If you're going to be holding this machine, you definitely want this handle because this thing is a beast. Yeah, so weighing in at 20 pounds, or Alexa, what's 20 pounds in kilograms?
20 pounds is about 9.1 kilograms.
Or 9.1 kilograms. Alright, so what we have in here is a pretty decent looking armature. I say in the description for this thing that this is an all copper wire armature. It does appear to be. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes with this lacquer coating on here, but the armature looks very nice. Should have taken these out before I took the armature out, but no big deal. Brushes look good. I'm only using it a little bit at this point. We've got what appears to be brass or bronze, probably brass brush connectors for the armature all the way through. Some nice heavy coated wire there. Also appears to be, it does appear to be copper. Got your sort of typical setup for like an angle grinder or similar. You have a small bearing on one end. This is a sealed ball bearing though. Sealed bearing on the other end. I'm not going to take it farther than this because at some point I'll be releasing shmoo. This is not the AVE channel. I don't want shmoo all over my workbench here. Got a plastic fan. Fairly heavy plastic. The vanes are very thick. Shouldn't be any issues there. This thing shouldn't be sucking in a bunch of debris because of the distance between the actual work area and, you know, you're just cutting steel. The case is, when I first got it, I thought it was pretty thin plastic, but it actually is pretty thick. I would like to have seen some texture on this for your handhold, but can't really tell if it's fiber reinforced or not. I haven't found any markings on it. I'd almost say it has to be because it is holding a lot of weight. But yeah, I just kind of see the fibers in there if you look at it just right angle. But I don't see any markings, so I can't really tell for sure. The windings they actually feel pretty heavy. When you're holding the machine, it feels like this side is like a feather because there's so much weight on this side. The castings are extremely heavy duty. Yeah, we are leaking a little shmoo around the edges here. That's what I wanted to avoid. It is holding this casting to this casting, so let's get this back together. Alright, here we go, as fast as I can. That's one. We're up to 64 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius. Let's keep going. Alright, there we go. We increased the temperature to 77 degrees. It's a little warm, but didn't miss a beat. I'll have to go back and count how many cuts that was, but it was a lot. So before I try to cut a couple things that it's not supposed to cut, I thought we'd look at how the cutters have fared after those 80 cuts, plus a few more cuts on some 5/8. And I will say that generally 5/8 cuts just as well as the 1/2 inch cuts. Let's take a look at these cutter edges through the microscope. So here's our solid jaw cutter. In other words, this one doesn't move, it just stays stationary. Not too bad. Got some deformation there on the edge. Some discoloration. But overall not too bad. After, I'd say this has had at least 100 cuts in it. And it was still cutting fine. Here's our movable jaw. Kind of the same thing, got a little feathered edge there. And some discoloration on the top side as well. Kind of turned that edge over a little bit of deformation. Not too bad. These jaws are CR12 MOV, which I believe is chromium, molybdenum, and vanadium. Essentially, they're comparable to D2 tool steel, which is a pretty hard tool steel, air hardened tool steel. The box does actually come with another set of them, as you can see. And you will notice too that the movable jaw is two-sided, and the other jaw, the stationary jaw, is basically 4 edges you got to work with. So the movable jaw, you got 2 edges. The stationary jaw, you got 4 edges before you need to replace them. They do sell replacements on Amazon, but like I say, they are a consumable item, so you know you will have to replace those every once in a while. This is an old fireplace grate. It's got 5/8 rod. Let's give it a shot. No problem. Sheared it right off. 1/2 inch grade 8 bolt. Made pretty quick work of a grade 8 bolt. It's an old tailgate lash, and it is damn chicken. It is probably a 1/4 inch of cable, and I'm curious about the cable. I think it's just going to get stuck. We'll see. Not good for cable. Stainless. Oh yeah. If you got a solid bar of something, you know, that's going to snap. How about tubing? Let's give it a shot. Oh, we've jammed it now. Not made for tubing. So in full disclosure, I did break one of these cutters. It's either the tubing or the cable. Probably the tubing, because I had to pound on it to get it out of there. But I did crack one of these cutters. Like I said, they're consumable, so, but full disclosure, you know, don't cut tubing. Don't cut tubing or cable. The stupid stuff I do to make YouTube videos. This is gonna take me all freaking day.